r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. Waiters, what Valentine Day disasters have you witnessed? A couple sitting at the bar were enjoying their night out. The man got up from his bar stool and left for the bathroom. As his girlfriend was alone, and absolutely wasted, at the bar, a random woman approached and revealed that she recently matched with the woman's boyfriend on Tinder and had hooked up a week earlier. The drunk girlfriend refused to believe this story, so the woman showed her his Tinder profile and their conversation. The boyfriend returned to her drunk, sobbing and screaming girlfriend. I felt like I was watching a reality TV show. It was incredible. The poor girl was basically carried out of the bar by her boyfriend of 3 years whom she just discovered has been cheating on her for who knows how long. It was the most dramatic moment I have ever experienced and it was absolutely none of my business. Edit. I was a bar back at the time and this couple sat directly in front of the place I spend most of my time. The glass washing station. Edit 2. For those wondering how the woman knew the couple was in a long-term relationship, I really don't know. My guess is she figured it out the same way I did. Based on listening, body language and the fact that this woman was overly touchy and liberal with cheek kisses and such. It was fairly obvious. Regardless, she approached out of concern and curiosity and she succeeded in outing the guy, which resulted in a very upsetting scene. He proposed. She said no. He cried and tried to change her mind for 20 minutes while she sat there stony-faced. She finally got up and walked out. He paid and left in tears. Old man proposed to old woman. He tried to get off the chair to kneel, tripped and fell and I assume broke something since he couldn't get back up and we had to call an ambulance. My manager had to drive her teeth to the hospital separately because she had taken them out to eat her soup, Lord knows why, and left them on the table in the confusion. I worked at a pretty high-end Mediterranean bistro. My second Valentine's there. It was probably the busiest night I've ever worked as a server. We had reservations that booked basically the entire restaurant including the bar and patio from 4 PM to 11 PM. No walk-ins were to be seated unless a reservation was cancelled or someone with a reservation didn't show up. Most of the customers were pretty understanding and either waited or simply left. One dude however kept pushing and pushing, asking every 10 minutes how much longer until he is seated, constantly saying how he is a regular customer and how his date is going to be there at 7. He got there at 6. We insisted that once a table was available and all the customers before him were seated, he would get a table. But because the amount of reservations, we couldn't guarantee he would even get a table at all. At about 6:50 the guy loses it. Fast walks up to the hostess stand where the reservation book is, grabs the reservation book and practically runs out the front door. Now everything is going to complete shit because the only copy of the reservations for the night that is barely half over is gone. Two of the owners ran outside to follow the guy and try and get the book back. But by the time they got out he had already left the parking lot. Even better is, 2 hours later, chaos is still running rampant and the dude shows back up saying he has a reservation for 2. All 5 of the owners, all brothers, escorted the dude and his date out to the parking lot and banned him from the restaurant permanently. They even took a picture of him and posted it in the window saying do not serve this man. TL. Dr. Salty dude without reservation steals reservation book and then tries to come back later. IDK, but I'll find out Friday cause I work a ducking double. And it's Applebee's. Godspeed, my friend. Busboy on Las Vegas Strip. An attempted proposal. Dude tries to set up sign with GF's friends for her to show up and see the ring near a fountain. Duck stole the ring. They found it 2 hours later as he dropped in the fountain. She still said yes. Free drinks were given. Untitled Goose Game. Said no one put the ring in her bag. Shit, that'd be fished right back out. Outright theft. Not my table. But back in my Olive Garden days, we had a man who looked to be in his mid-20s tap his empty wine glass with a fork to call for attention of the surrounding strangers. Then get down on one knee with silver band in hand and ask his girlfriend Day to accept this promise ring. She looked horrified start to finish. Either way, he wasn't getting laid that night. Posting this from my phone, so apologies for any typos or formatting problems. That's why you always do the triple pocket tap. A guy proposed to his girlfriend and she said no. The guy threw his arms up and ran out of the building. Later, while waiting for someone to pick her up, she told us it was completely out of the blue, because they'd only been dating for a few months. Another V-Day. A guy raised a huge fuss over the fact that we wouldn't serve liquor to his underage girlfriend. I'm certain you mean he threw up his hands momentarily in exasperation. But I can't help picturing him running out of the restaurant arms straight up Kermit the Frog style. A guy did a backflip and asked a girl to be his Valentine. She declined. I walked up to him and asked if he was fine. He said it took him a week to perfect. I feel for this guy, man. Hope he found someone. Probably not the kind of story you're looking for. But one Valentine's Day at my restaurant we got totally slammed and the kitchen started melting down. In the middle of dinner service the head chef freaked out, threw a side of salmon at one of the line cooks and walked out. In college I waited tables and Valentine's Day was always a good one in terms of tips. I once saw a couple come in to eat. Halfway through the dinner the man's wife shows up to surprise the couple. The wife took the wine bottle and poured the remnants on the husband's head, took off her ring and told the girlfriend she could have him. He tipped me a $100. You gotta think that your wife might think something is up when you're busy on Valentine's Day. A 16-year-old boy proposed to a 15-year-old girl with a cheap ring and the whipped cream of her dessert. She said yes. So romance isn't quite dead yet. Back when I served food at one of those super touristy seafood restaurants, I worked a Valentine's Day double shift. For lunch, this younger couple came in celebrating their 1-year anniversary. I offer my congratulations and proceed to do my usual spiel before taking orders. The girl is looking more and more dismayed the longer I talk. Finally I get to the end and ask if there are any allergies. She looks directly at her boyfriend and states, "Yes, I'm allergic to fish and shellfish." Then looks over at me very sad. I made sure every aspect of her meal was fine for her. But it was that look of "we've been dating a year and he still takes me to a restaurant that could kill me" that really did it for me. That reminds me when my parents got me a huge strawberry filled cake with strawberries on it for my 25th birthday. I'm deathly allergic to strawberries. I waited on one of the owners of the restaurant I was working at with his girlfriend and her tween kids. Kinda weird. But probably didn't get a babysitter. He had been dating this woman for a number of months. But it was his first Valentine's Day on a date that wasn't his wife in decades. I don't think he was ready. But he was there to support the business. He broke down crying during dinner and it was heartbreaking. They left early. Had his wife passed away or something? Saw a couple have a full-on argument at a restaurant. I wasn't their server but the table was directly in the center of the restaurant and they were certainly loud enough for everyone to hear. My manager kindly asked them to leave and the guy's response was to yell, "I've been wanting to do that shit for 2 years now," and stormed out. Sir, you need to leave. See? Even this guy thinks so. Younger couple came in for what I can only assume was a first date. Ordered a pizza but never ate. Caught up in conversation I guess. Guy must have been feeling confident BC about 2 hours and he gets up, goes to the bathroom, and then decides to sit next to her in the booth rather than across from her where he was before. I swear to you she then got up and used the restroom about 10 minutes later. And when she came back, decided it would best if they didn't sit next to each other and sat in his original place. Please refrain from doing this. I worked at Pizza Hut and the guy asked if I could bake a ring in the pizza. I politely declined. Their waitress did however put their ring on the pizza before bringing it to the table. The girl saw the ring, got mad, yelled at him for proposing at a Pizza Hut and walked out. He asked for a box, took the pizza and went after her. A girl that I worked with went to lunch on Valentine's Day at an expensive restaurant her boyfriend had gotten a reservation for. She got dressed up nice, was going on about how sure she was that he was going to propose. He broke up with her. 2 failed marriage proposals on the same Valentine's Day. The first one simply said "No, I can't do this," and walked out. The second one stared like a deer frozen in the headlights for an excruciating 30 seconds before muttering "Let's talk about this later." They stayed for the rest of their 6-course V-Day special dinner, eating and making painful small talk. If you aren't 100% certain the person will say yes, then your relationship is nowhere near a point where getting engaged is an option. Not really much of a disaster, but last year my work called me up. Hey buddy, we know you're single. Can you come in as an extra shift tonight? No. I have a date with your wife. I walked up to a table and was about to drop off the bill. Caught the end of it's over. Guy looked at me dead in the eye and said to split the duck in check. Right now. I was working as a waitress in a sushi restaurant and Valentine's Day was an all hands on deck shift. This guy I had just started seeing wanted to go out. But I told him that working in food service, you never get Valentine's Day off and we just have to celebrate the day after or the weekend after. Nope. He got so upset that he went and asked a different girl out. Came to the restaurant I worked at on V-Day and sat in my section. He then proceeded to spend the entire evening making a fool out of himself and making his date uncomfortable as he tried to make me jealous. Needless to say we didn't go out again. Ever. If he had surprised you at work and brought a couple friends that didn't have dates for dinner so that he could still see you on Valentine's Day, he'd have earned a million points. But nope. Not only did he get mad over something stupid, he blew it with 2 women at once. Honestly, I'm kinda ducking impressed. That's okay obviously. Insane level of confidence. Edit. Gotta love being exhausted and thinking you typed out words that were in your head. Had a man and woman sharing dessert and the man playfully put a bit of the ice cream on her nose. She then did the same and he did it back once more but with a different flavor of ice cream. She flipped out at him because you know I like chocolate the most, why would you waste it you idiot. In the end she stormed out cause the man couldn't comprehend how much she was blowing up the situation. TLDR. Man put ice cream on woman's nose, she rages and leaves. Yeah. Sounds like she's got a lot of baggage hidden somewhere. Someone showing up for a date and you both realize about 30 minutes and she ain't coming. Drinks on me buddy. I set my hair on fire and spilled a full Stella on a lady. I work in a causal fine dining steakhouse. Luckily for me, the lady I spilled the Stella on was super understanding and her husband said from across the table, well now she has to take her pants off. Saru, that could have gone worse for me. Why did you set your hair on fire before spilling on the lady? Just to feel alive? Not really a disaster, but this guy came in and said he was waiting for his date. He stayed for 5 hours waiting and she never showed. He eventually ordered for himself and asked that I remove the other glass of water from the table. He said it was their first date. Damn, why would you wait for 5 hours? I'm out of there after 30 minutes. It was like a movie. I was bartending at an Italian restaurant, not a fancy one. But still, and it's pretty much full of Valentine's dates. A guy walks in and sits at the bar by himself, looking pretty down. He asked for a whiskey. So I poured it. Told him it was on the house because he looked like he needed it. He proceeds to tell me his story. He had come to the city to surprise his girlfriend for Valentine's, about a 5-hour bus trip between cities, and he sure surprised her. She was in her dorm room ducking one of his friends from high school. He didn't know what to do, so he just walked into the first place that sold alcohol. I spilled as much whiskey as he wanted and watched the Raptors with him. Never saw him again. It's cliche, but it happened. Edit. Watch the Raptors isn't a euphemism. We watched the basketball game. Clichés become clichés for a reason. Couples who are close to the spring breakup trying to save everything on one meaningless holiday dinner. You see at least one every year. Spring breakup? First time I've heard this term. What would that be? Happened to my poor coworker. A guy and his date came in for Valentine's Day. They had a great time. Ate a lot of food. Drank a lot of wine. And got along really well with my coworker who was their server. About 2 months later they come back in and request my coworker again, who happily says yes to serving them. He goes up and greets them. The guy introduces his wife to him, and my coworker mentions something about how much he enjoyed serving them on Valentine's Day. They go quiet. Wife gets up and leaves. Guy just lowers his head. Turns out he had brought his mistress in on Valentine's Day. But my coworker didn't realize he was with a different woman this time around, so didn't think anything of it. We never saw the guy again. Guy was a post for cheating obviously, but also what an idiot to request the server he had while with the other woman. Ducking like and subscribe.